Hi guys, welcome back to Creative Tap. Now I've got some good news for you. It's a double bill today. By the end of this tutorial you will have two different animations. We're going to be looking at the loop expression in After Effects today and a couple different things that it can do. So let's stop talking and let's go do it. Hi guys, so let's have a look at what we're going to be creating in this video tutorial. So this is going to be our first creation, so let's give it a quick play. So we've got a loading circle going back and forth and we've got a nice little animation on the text. I may include a different animation, but we'll be using a few expressions to pull this one off. I'll now show you the second thing we'll be using in this creating in this tutorial. So let's open up this one. This is a little buy now button, so we've just got some swinging text on what could be a button on a website, and it's going to go back and forth, and again we're going to use a little bit of expressions to pull this off. Okay, so let's dive straight into After Effects. Now the first thing I'm going to do is just set up a nice little background. So if we just go to new composition, I'm going to make sure that I call it buy now button. All I want to do is check the frame rate to 25 frames per second and duration of 8 seconds will be fine for this. So if I click OK, next thing I want to do is make a nice background. If I go to layer, new and solid, I can call this BG for background and I want to select a nice color. The color I'm going to be using is, I've got the hex code, which is this 6-digit number. I'm going to type in 5CD B95. I'm using this because I've used this color before and I memorized or wrote down this little hex code by here. So if I click OK and then click OK, I've now got this as a nice background. So the next thing I want to do is make sure you've clicked off this background layer so it's not selected. We're going to come up to this rectangle tool at the top, hold down your click and you'll get something called a rounded rectangle tool. I'm going to click and drag and just create mine like so. What you can do now is, let's just close down that, load up your align window. If you can't see that, go to window, align, make sure it's ticked. So I want this to be dead in the center, so if you click align horizontally and then align vertically, it's going to be dead in the middle. My anchor point isn't in the middle, however, so I'm going to get my anchor point tool and let's just click that rectangle like so, and I'm going to put it in the middle. Now if you hold control, it'll snap to the middle. Okay, so that I'm just happy now that that's in the middle. What I can do is created a shape layer. Okay, and we can scroll down this shape layer, go to contents and then rectangle 1, and I want to go to rectangle path, and you've got something here called roundness. I'm going to increase my roundness all the way so I've got a nice rounded edge button. I now want to go into the fill option, fill 1, and I'm going to change this color. So what I can do is, first of all, I'm going to use this eyedropper to select the background color, but then I want to make it a little bit lighter, so then I'm going to drag it over here. So all I did, eyedropper tool the background and then just drag it so it's a little bit lighter, and this is working for me. I've got a stroke on there, so if I go to click off, you'll see there's a line around the outside. You can keep that if you want, but I want to disable my stroke, so I'm just going to click the I button to turn off the visibility of that I button. Next thing I want to do is get my text tool, and I'm going to type the words, so just click once. Instead of drawing a text box, don't draw a text box. So just get your, I'll do that again. Get your text tool, instead of clicking and dragging, that's not very good. I'm just going to click once and I'm going to type buy now. You can then highlight your text and make sure you've got mine's in here somewhere, the character panel. If you can't see that, window character, make sure it's ticked. And I can click and drag on the font size to increase the size, and I think that's going to be about good. You can change different fonts. I'm using Lemon Milk. I think that's one I downloaded a while ago and installed, so just use whatever one you want. Now what I want to do is change the color of this text. I don't like it being completely white, and I've got another color which I'm going to use, and that color is The hex code is EDF and then 5E1. 1, there you go. And it gives us a bit of a sort of beigeish cream, not completely white colour. Okay, so I can kind of try and move this into position. It's also got a white stroke on the outside, so because of that, if you come over here to the character panel, click this is the stroke, and then just click none next to it, and it'll get rid of that outline. We want to also align this in the middle, so go to align horizontally and align vertically, and now I'm guaranteed that that is perfectly in the middle. So what I want to do is, in our example, it was swinging, okay? So to do that, I need to rotate it. However, I need to turn on the 3D properties for this layer to have it swinging in 2.5D or 3D space. So just turn that on, and you'll notice you get this little gizmo, these little green and red arrows. But all you need to do is hit R on your keyboard to get your rotation properties, and you'll notice we've got X, Y, and Z rotation. Just ignore the orientation. So I think, if I remember correctly, what we need to do first of all, get our pan behind or anchor point tool and move our anchor point to the top, just up by here. And again, if you hold Control, it'll snap to either the corners, the top, or the middle. But I want to snap it by holding Control when I move it to the top. So the next thing I can do, I think it's X rotation. Yeah, I basically want to make it swing like that. So I think I'm going to start off at plus 30. So just 30 in there. And I'm going to hit the stopwatch to create a keyframe at 0 seconds. I'm going to come forward to 1 second, and I am going to click in here and type minus 30. So what you'll notice between these two keyframes is it's got this little nice swing, and that's actually quite slow. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to move this keyframe up a little bit to speed it up. So if I go to looking at our timecode over here, I think maybe 15 frames. So just come forward to 15 by there, and I'm going to drag this second keyframe there, so it's now a quicker animation. Great. So what I want to do now is I want to create my last keyframe where it swings back. So all I need to do is go forward another 15 frames. Remember, there's 25 frames per second, so we basically want 1 second and 5 frames. And then I'm just going to create a plus 30 again, because remember our first one was plus 30, minus 30, and then it goes back, swings back. So I'm going to click in and I'm going to type 30. So what we've got so far is swings forward and then back. But we'll notice the swing is very, very abrupt, almost like it hits a wall. So we want to ease these keyframes. So I'll click and drag to highlight them, and then I'm going to right click or control click on a Mac, go to Keyframe Assistant, Easy Ease, and you'll notice now this becomes quite a bit smoother. So it's like a proper nice swing now. And what I want to do is, like we said, I want to use an expression to actually keep this animation looped. So if I hold Alt or Option key on the Mac and click that stopwatch, we can type a little expression. And I'm going to type loop and then a capital O and then UT. So loop out, and then it's popped up for me here, so I can just click this, or if you don't see the click, it's open curved brackets and then close curved brackets, and then I can just simply click off, and now when we play this, you'll notice that it's looping that animation, okay? And the great thing is, I think that is actually a bit too fast. So the great thing is if we highlight our keyframes, hold Alt or Option on the keyboard and click the last one just to drag it out so it lasts a little bit longer, and it'll space them all out equally. So let's have a look now. Great, and we've got that loop in. So it could be like a little buy now button for a website or something. So that is basically, when it's saying loop out, what the software is going to do is going to play these keyframes all the way through to here, and then it's like we've just duplicated these along. It's going to basically keep on playing forward but repeat these keyframes, okay? So it's just going to carry on swinging like so, which is awesome. So that is our first little example. So let's have another quick look at our loading bar one. So if I just open this, you'll see this is what we're going to be creating next. So we've got a little text animation and a little circle going back and forth. So let's have a little go at this one using some of the same processes. So all I need to do is I'm just going to click a new composition. So you can either do it by clicking here, or you can go composition new. I think it's just easier just to click this little icon by here, and I'm going to call this loading bar. 25 frames per second. You can click this preset HDTV 1080-25. That'll mean it's HD and it's 25 frames per second. I think 8 seconds again as a duration is fine. You can go a bit longer if you want, but I'm just going to click OK. So I want to make the same color background again. A nice quick way we can do that is we can jump from the Buy Now button composition and to the loading bar one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the background solid here, Control C to copy it, or Command and C on a Mac, and come into here and Control V or Command V, and basically it's copied that layer across. So the next thing I want to do is I want to actually make that circle going back and forth. So make sure that you haven't got this layer selected, so it's not selected. Come up to the top, hold your click down and select the ellipse tool. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw a little circle. If you hold shift, it'll make sure it's uniform. If you don't hold shift, it could get like a little bit warped like that. So I'm just going to hold shift, and there we go. Next, I want to put my anchor point at the center of this. So get your anchor point tool and just click that shape layer, click and drag your anchor point over. And if you hold control again, it'll snap either to the corner or the side, which I don't want it to, but it'll snap to the center as you move it around. So just put it in a dead center. Great. So all I want to do now is animate the position and the scale of this, okay? So if I hit P on my keyboard with the layer selected, and then if I hold Shift and S, it'll give me the scale as well. So this is the first position I want, so I'm just going to click a position keyframe here on the stopwatch, and for the scale as well. I'm going to move forward about 20 frames, so you can see my time code on the left, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag this by here to move it all the way to the other side of the screen, something like that. So what we've got so far, scale remains the same because we haven't set a second keyframe, but it just goes across the screen. Now at this 20 frame mark, I want another keyframe for scale at 100%. So in order to do that, it's already at 100%. We just need to click this little diamond, because the only other way we can create a keyframe is by changing this value, and we want it to be the same. So all I'm going to do is just click this diamond, and I've now got a keyframe for scale at 100%. But the scale's not going to change because it's 100% each time. What I want to actually do is go to halfway through this animation, which will be 10 frames because the whole thing's 20 frames. And I want to sort of have it sort of stretch a little bit in the middle. So in order to do that, what I can do is there's this little chain here on the scale. If the chain is showing, it's going to scale it uniformly, so in the X and the Y, up and down. So what I want to do is unclick this chain, and now when I click and drag these values, it's just going to do it on the X axis. So I'm going to bring this up to 200. You can just click and type in 200. And I'm going to bring the second one down to, click in there, and type 50. So what's happening here now is it goes left to right, and the scale is 100. By the time it gets halfway through, we've got it now compressing down and stretching, and then it comes back out, and we've got that. So let's give it a quick playthrough. Cool, that's what we've got. I want to give these keyframes easy ease as well. So I'm just going to select them all, right click, and keyframe assistant easy ease. All we want to do now is we want to use a slightly different looping expression. It's simpler than the last one. In the last one, let's just recap. In the last one, the reason what's going on here essentially is if we hit U, we've got position 1 where it's at the back, swings forward, and then it swings back, and we repeat that, so it does its move forward and then back. Over here, it goes to the right, but it doesn't go back to the left. So we have to use a slightly different one. This one is called ping pong, okay? It's a weird name, but basically it goes back and forth like a ping pong ball. That's one of the reasons I used a circle. So this one will do its animation, and then the expression will send it back and then back and forth. Whereas this one, all it did was repeat it because we've actually animated both extremes here where it swings forward and back, and then it repeats the forward and back. whereas over here, it only goes to one side. So what I want to do is Alt and click my position, and I'm going to type very similar, loop, and then out, with a capital O at the out. And then I'm going to open my curved brackets, and then I'm going to use the apostrophe and type P-I-N-G, P-O-N-G, ping pong, and then my apostrophe again, and close curved brackets. So now if we click out, we've done that to the position. Let's have a look at what the position does. So it goes back and forth, like that. Like a ping pong ball, really. I now need to do the same to the scale. So if I alt-click the scale, like so, I can now type loop out with a capital O, and open curved brackets, apostrophe, ping, pong, apostrophe, close, curved brackets. Click out, and now the scale, where it stretches in the middle, will carry on each time as well. So that's the base, that's the main part of it done. I'm just gonna close that down. I can right click and rename this to ball, just so we know what's going on. And next part, I want to add a little box around it. So what we want to do now is, without any of these layers selected, back up to the shape tool, hold your click down, rounded rectangle tool. And I'm just going to come to the beginning, and I'm going to draw this rounded rectangle around it like so. I don't know how long it needs to be, so I'm just going to go something like that. Now what I'm going to do is go to the fill up the top, click the word fill, not the box, and then it'll come up with this, and this none, just select none, and now it has no fill. Okay. Also in the rectangle settings, I think I'm going to go to the rectangle path and increase the roundness all the way up like so, and let's click off and see what we got. Now I think I need to alter the position of this a bit, so I'm going to select the shape layer. I'm just using the arrow keys on my keyboard. I'm just going to move it so it's now hugging the ball by there a little bit better. I'm now going to come to the end of my animation, and it stops there. Okay, so the ball stops there, so we're a little bit short. So what I want to do is I actually want to scale this down. Now if I do something clever here, I can get my anchor point, because it's up here, and I'm going to take my anchor point, holding control, and snap it to this side, because now if I scale it horizontally, it'll be scaling from this point. So if I hit S on my keyboard, I want to unlink this, because again, it'll scale up from that point, which is great, but as we scale down, it does it in the height and the width, and you could probably get away with it. But what we want to do is unlink this chain. So let's undo that first, just back to 100. Unlink this chain, and then I'm just going to scale down like that, so it only scales the width. And so just bring it in like so. So what you should have now is this, and it fits nice and tight, which is quite nice. Looks quite slick as well. I like that. Finally, what we want to do is we want to create some text, and I'm going to get my text tool, click up here, and I'm just going to type loading, and I'm going to select this, move it into position like so, and over on the right, your effects and presets window. If you don't see that, you just need to go window, and where is it? Effects and presets. Just click it and make sure it's ticked. Mine's actually showing up on the right and it's not ticked, so I don't know why, so I'm just going to click it. There you go. Now within here you've got something called animation presets, so give that a twirl down, and then give the text folder a twirl down, and you've got loads of stuff in here. Now the one I'm going to use, if I can remember what it was, which I can't, the one I'm going to use is this one by here, twisty ribbons. So I'm going to make sure that my time slider by here is at the beginning, and then I'm going to click and drag twisty ribbons. You can either drag it onto the text layer, make sure it's not the background layer and it's the text layer, or you can do that by just clicking down here. And let's give that a little play. And this is what we've got. Okay, and we want to repeat that. So you can see that there's two dots here. They're not diamonds like they normally would be, but it's just showing that these keyframes are hidden down within this somewhere. So all you can do, just to see them more clearly, select the layer and hit U on the keyboard, and it'll show you then all keyframes. Now this happens a little bit slow for me. I know I've got 8 seconds and I want to loop this as well. So I know if I bring it to 2, I can loop it 4 times and that'll look quite clean. So let's just see how fast it is now over 2 seconds. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I think I'm going to easy ease these keyframes. So select them, right click, easy ease. And then if I alt click this stopwatch, I can now type loop out and then open my brackets, and I'm going to use the ping pong again. So apostrophe ping pong apostrophe close brackets, and basically now it should like spin from the left to the right, and now it should also then go back right to left, okay, because that's the ping pong one. So you can see that goes left to right and then back right to left. Now if my expression was just the normal one we were using earlier, loop out and then just those 2 brackets were there, what would happen is it would go from left to right and then from left to right again. So it's up to you which one you want to do. But that is basically using the loop out and the loop ping pong expression. It will repeat your keyframes and it can make things a little bit easier in certain circumstances. So I really hope you guys enjoyed that tutorial and learned some stuff from it, and I look forward to seeing you in a future tutorial.